I think it's better. All right, we'll keep it on low latency then on the YouTube chat. All right, I think we're good to go. All right, let's get into this.
Sort of vacuum at the moment. MPs and commentators start reading a lot into what little information there is. So today, Burnham said he will appoint a former Work and Pension Secretary, a former Cabinet Minister, as his Chief of Staff. Now, he's quite closely aligned to the
All set to go? Well, firstly, kia ora, good morning, everyone, and can I just say thank you so much for being here. And I just say a big thank you to Alistair and Heath and all of the team at Future Energy for hosting us here at their place today. It's great to be here with the Minister for Energy, Simeon Brown, and also the Minister for Local Government, Simon Watts. A few weeks ago, I talked about how in a more volatile and uncertain world, it's really important that we can control what we can control. And of course, what we can control, and we need to focus on, is building a much stronger, more resilient, more secure New Zealand to withstand that global geopolitical volatility. A big part, of course, of achieving greater national security is building our energy resilience and independence. But here's the thing about resilience. It's not only built in Wellington or through our big infrastructure projects, which as important as they are, real resilience is actually built in thousands of homes, on thousands of rooftops, by thousands of Kiwis taking back a measure of control over their own lives. A stronger, more resilient energy system means giving Kiwis access to a more diverse and reliable mix of power when weather events or global shocks put pressure on supply. And of course, more resilience and choice also helps make our power bills much more affordable. Through our Electrify New Zealand agenda, National has delivered widespread regulatory reform that is driving a record amount of investment in renewables. Consequently, we've been able to build out more renewables in the last 2 years than the previous 8 years. That growth in renewables is also backed by strategic coal and diesel reserves and the prospect of LNG to keep the lights on in dry years. And they are absolutely critical investments to lowering the dry year risk and the risk premium that is reflected in all of our power bills. While renewable energy projects are taking off across New Zealand, the uptake of residential
Coal and gas is not renewable, not because of green stuff, but because it's reliant on imports. I gotta dig more into this policy to understand like what exactly they're talking about, but yeah, it's not exactly renewable when you're talking about all that.
solar, battery storage and on-farm generation remains low. And to give you a feel for it, just 3% of Kiwi households have installed solar in their homes. In the US, it's around about 9%, and in places like the Netherlands and Australia, it's 1 in 3 households. National has a plan to change that, and today we're announcing that if re-elected, National will introduce a new package to build on the success of Electrify NZ and support a greater uptake of residential solar and home batteries. There are 2 key components to our plan today that we're announcing. Firstly, we're going to tackle the single biggest barrier of all, which of course is the upfront cost. The cost of installing solar and batteries remains out of reach for too many families, and the green loans that are on offer from the banks are limited and patchy. So a re-elected National Government will establish the Home Energy Fund, which has been long called for by Local Government New Zealand and some outstanding work done by Mike and his team at Rewiring Aotearoa. And what that is to let homeowners and property owners finance energy upgrades with no large upfront costs, repay it over time through their rates and as they save on their power bills. It's a low interest loan secured against the homeowner's own equity so that those who benefit also carry the cost, and it gives Kiwis genuine control over their power bills rather than leaving them exposed to rising electricity costs. The second part of the plan is to clear away the red tape that has actually made it absurdly hard for New Zealanders to generate power on their own land. And I want to give you a real example of some of the madness that has been happening. In Canterbury, one of the regional council there demanded a water discharge consent for ground-mounted solar panels on the theory that the rain runoff of the panels may contain or carry bird droppings. You know, that is exactly the kind of nonsense that has been holding New Zealand back and exactly why our RMA reforms are so critical, because we're going to end all that stupid stuff. We will make small-scale renewables largely permitted as of right so that New Zealanders can install rooftop solar without a consent. They can put ground-mounted solar on their farms with sensible safeguards, add small-scale battery storage as of right, and run small-scale micro hydro on their own land. Frankly, your roof, your land, your power. Electrify NZ 2.0 was part of National's plan to ensure that New Zealand has greater resilience and energy independence. It strengthens self-reliance, it improves energy security, and it gives Kiwis genuine control over their power bills. We're empowering New Zealanders to build for themselves. Every rooftop that generates its own power is new electricity being generated. Every battery is just a little bit more resilience in our energy system. Every family that takes control of its own energy makes our whole country stronger. This is national resilience built from the ground up, roof by roof, home by home, family by family. That's how we fix the basics, that's how we build the future, and that's how together we build a stronger, more resilient, more secure New Zealand. With that, I'll pass off to Simon Watts to talk a little bit more about the Home Energy Fund, and then I'll pass to Simeon to talk a little bit about the regulatory reform, and then we're happy to take your questions. Thanks.
Well, thank you very much, Prime Minister. And as we've said today, we are announcing the Home Energy Fund to help more Kiwi families reduce their power bills without needing thousands of dollars upfront. For many households, the biggest barrier to installing solar panels, batteries or insulation isn't the technology, it is the upfront cost. Under the Ratepayer Assistance Scheme that has been advocated strongly by LGNZ and Rewiring Aotearoa, along with a number of councils across the country, eligible homeowners will be able to access long-term, low-interest finance for approved energy upgrades. The scheme pays for the installation upfront, and homeowners repay the cost over time through their rates bill. Because the loan is secured against the property, it can be offered on better terms and on over longer periods than many other finance options available today.
Let's see here.
Importantly, under our policy, those who benefit
Cool,
are
okay,
the ones
everything's
who
working.
will pay. This is a practical solution that helps families lower their power bills, improve the efficiency of their homes, and importantly, keep more money in their back pockets. I'll now hand over to Simeon Brown, who will outline further details on how the scheme will work.
Well, thank you, Simon, and great to be with you, Prime Minister. National is the party of renewables, and we're already delivering at scale through Electrify New Zealand,
I'm not even going to comment.
which is driving a record pipeline of renewable energy in New Zealand right now, including a 47% increase in solar connections over the last few years. This is another part of our plan to lower household power bills and also increase our energy generation in New Zealand. Some of the key changes that we're making around consenting will also add to the Home Energy Fund, and these changes have been called for by many people in the sector, but also from Rewiring Aotearoa. Some of these changes are critical to ensuring that we have standardised rules across the country to install rooftop solar without a consent. It's nuts how some councils have particular rules in particular parts of the country which make it complicated and harder. We need to make it easier. Allowing farmers to put ground-mounted solar on farms as a permitted activity is going to make a huge difference for farmers up and down our country. Another common sense change. It's adding small-scale battery storage as of right, and running small micro hydro for on-site use subject to standard environmental conditions. Again, more common sense changes, all about powering up Kiwi farmers, making cheaper power bills, and it's all part of National Plan for more affordable energy. Thank you so much.
Great. Well, listen, team, why don't we take questions on the policy and then we can get into other issues of the day.
Do you mind just running us through logistically how this works? You mentioned it's offset by rates, but imagine it's somebody's rate. Could you just run through how
Yeah, I'll let Simon talk to that.
Yeah, absolutely. So in effect, we'll be establishing or passing legislation to establish an entity which will be under LGNZ, Local Government Funding and Financing Authority. They'll set up an entity and then basically individuals will be able to apply for a loan and that will be then allocated. The entity will do all the credit checks required and all of those other aspects. Individuals will need to have a 20% equity position within their home. Again, the loan is on the property, not on the individual.
And you pay back through
And then you pay it back through your rates. You also have the opportunity to do some deferral of that as well, depending on your circumstance. One of the big barriers at the moment is if you think about retirees, for example, don't have access to traditional mortgage opportunities, then this financing opportunity opens that up. It also applies to landlords as well if they want to be putting solar on homes, which will obviously benefit the broader people that are renting as well.
Right, and you said this is backed by LGNZ, groups like Rewiring Aotearoa. Have you got buy-in from councils, specifically Auckland, Christchurch and Wellington?
So I've spoken with all of those mayors this morning. They have been very positive around the fact that we're looking to progress this. Those councils were part of the design team. There's 8 councils that have been putting together the business case along with LGNZ. So this is something that across the sector, local government sector, that they've been strongly supportive.
Excuse me, I'll be back in like 2 minutes.